Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Giant in Red event, in which the Ruby Giant is added to the game. So this week finally brings back Rope Dart into the Soulforge, which is a really good pickup, as well as a pretty interesting weapon that's in the money side of the Season Pass. But anyways, let's start going into the troop. This is a troop type that we're going to be getting quite a few of this season. We've already gotten one, there's going to be another right now. And there's going to be a few more like it as we go through this current next few weeks. Comes with a bunch of brown red arcanes, so good time to stock up if you need them, only 200 glory each. As far as your troop, it deals some damage to an enemy. It then converts 5 blue gems to red giant gems. So very similar to the one we got, what was that, 2 weeks ago? Pretty recently. It does a very similar mechanic. Basically, you're trying to get alignment on this. This gives you a huge amount of mana. Very situational, but whenever it can get an alignment, it's going to get a lot of mana for every single red onto your entire team. It also ends up creating a red giant gem whenever it gets hit by scroll damage. This, of course, can backfire, but it does have some 50% score reduction and even has enrage to go with it. So overall, not horrible, but very situational if you're ever going to bother bringing it into your team compared to other mana accumulators, especially compared to other things of its exact mana cost like Angry Mob and such, which are generally going to be giving not only red mana, but mana to your entire team while also having backup resummon. It's definitely very situational, but could find its way into some teams here and there, but it's probably an weaker Angry Mob in most situations. Anyways, next thing on our list, we have, of course, the event key drop table. This is a Pridelands a week, which brings quite a few interesting things. As far as the drop table, though, not so much. It's not a bad drop table, though it's a pretty skippable one. Every single thing that you see underneath the Pridelands area is available, except for the 4 Adrashi's Palace troops, which are, of course, from Adrashi's Palace in the Underworld. As far as things worth picking up, there aren't too many. There are a few utility troops that are occasionally used here. There's Ubistet, which is used for its double kill. Umanef, which is kind of a replacement for Zugov if you don't have Zugov yet. Though realistically, how easy Zugov is to get these days, you might actually have Zugov before you have her in a lot of situations. And there's a few like kind of utility troops you use on occasion, like Rashka Freeblood for mana accumulation, if you have like a really heavy gold team, and a few others like that. Overall, pretty skippable. Not really one you need a lot of event keys for unless you're looking to upgrade to Kingdom. Speaking of upgrading to Kingdom, it is possible now to get Pridelands to 24 star, unless I'm missing one here. Let me just go double check. As you can see there, we have the 24 star coming in, and oh, never mind, 25 star is actually available. We'd have to go upgrade a bunch of stuff, but we can indeed hit 25 star. And with 25 star, we would then go and get ourselves a extra 2,000 gold per day, as well as the extra tribute chance, which is also available there. I think one of those was actually already available, but it was because I don't have the bandit upgraded. There's actually a kind of funny situation a little while back where bandit could actually be fully upgraded and untraded. Which is what mine was. So it's actually possible to have it fully upgraded without the stealthy. This was when they nerfed it, because you could refund it with the whole refund mechanic. That's somewhat a unused mechanic these days, because of course we did not get the Broken Spire rework this month, unfortunately. It was supposed to happen last week. Unfortunately, they have delayed it until November. Speaking of other news, there was something else that actually happened this Friday. So that happened last week, them announcing that the thing got delayed till November. Though we are still getting a patch in October, but the patch that was meant for this month got delayed basically till November, essentially, when they do like the anniversary, the 8-year anniversary of the game update. But anyways, there's another thing that ended up happening. This actually happened last Friday. So Hall of Guardians finally got its troop in a drop table. So if you've been looking to pick yourself up the new troop that came in for 4 weeks ago, if I can get it here, hopefully we can get one without too many rolls. Hopefully we can get one without spending every single shard we have. There it is. So Guardian Pillar. So Guardian Pillar, of course, I personally skipped on, and mostly so we could have more gems for Dragonite. But this is the return of Guardian Pillar. It was available through Bounty Hunter 4 weeks ago, and was available starting this Friday. So you've been able to get it for the last few days, and this is the first Monday video, so I figured I'd mention it here. So definitely make sure if you haven't picked up your Guardian Pillar yet, you can now do so with shards without spending any gems whatsoever, just by throwing a bunch of shards here at the Hall of Guardians. And you can do that anytime you want. That's not restricted to any kind of time. Just whenever you have the resources for it, you can go and get it if you haven't already. Anyways, next we have ourselves the World event, the Ruby reward. As far as this event, we do have a spell damage. So of course you can just go down the AoE route. As far as what we have, we're mostly just restricted to Rashka, so you might need to open up event keys in order to have options. You're mostly just going to want to run with AoE options, any kind of Ubistet for those double kill, because you can just double. You should have access to Rope Dart, which I highly... Actually, wait, we have access to all weapons? Those are just Rashka weapons. But yeah, we do have access to Rope Dart, so you could do like the Rope Dart Ubistet, of course, which is probably going to be among one of the better options. You throw down Rope Dart, you throw down Oop State, you throw down Rope Dart, you throw down Oop State, put 2 mana accumulators with it, you're good to go. And that's pretty much what you're going to be able to do for most of the events. You can just AoE spam it as well. We do have access to spell damage, so you can just go down that route, spam AoE the entire time, and also be good to go. As far as room order is concerned, you basically just go, it's set in the 15-15, and then you just keep doing the same room over and over again, kind of set up. Where for the first instance, you go for the first 2 battles, or you're stuck with the first 2 battles. Then you have these 4, and then you have all 6 of them. As far as beyond that point, you mostly just want to be not taking the Pyrohydra. As long as you're not taking the Pyrohydra, you are pretty much taking the correct room every single time. And once you get to 31 plus, you're definitely taking the correct room every single time once you get to that point. Theoretically, you do have to worry about each one of these individual values if you want to min-max it as much as possible, where you take Behemoth the most, Hydra the second most once you get to it, Balhur the third most, and then the Pyrohydra as the absolute lowest priority. However, as long as you're just not taking this one, you're pretty much good to go. And once you get to 31 plus rooms, you're quite literally at that point, since you're just going to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and you can essentially just keep spamming the same room over and over once you've gotten just to all Pyrohydras. And overall, pretty straightforward event. And as far as what they visually look like, you can see them right over here, where Pyrohydra's all the way at the bottom there. And the other ones, unfortunately, is not exactly rarity order to have like a little different icon. I hate when they do that because it would be so much easier, you know, just to understand wise if it's just, you know, rarity order. But it is actually epic ones, but it just has a different icon. So do be mindful of that, as it's not exactly rarity order as far as the order, but by the time you even get that far, it won't really matter because you're at the point where you're just not taking Pyrohydra anyways, because that starts happening at the 31 plus battles. Anyways, just don't take Pyrohydra and you'll be good to go as far as Word Event is concerned. Anyways, so that's that. Same rewards as you would normally expect from this mode, as it always is. Anyways, as far as other things that we have going on this week, this Tuesday we have ourselves the Draji's Palace faction event. Wednesday we have the bird. This bird has been available since, gosh, what version was it? 6.2, I want to say? I'm pretty sure it was 6.2. This bird has been available for like 6-7 months. However, if you haven't RNG'd into it yet, this is actually the first Wednesday or guaranteed event where it is available. While it has theoretically been available for almost half a year, this is the first time it has a 100% chance of occurring. So if you haven't been able to pick up yourself a copy or just want to get more to max it, as most people probably don't have it maxed, you'll be able to do so this Wednesday. So definitely make sure to pick it up, as this might be your first opportunity to do so, even though it's been in the game for a little while now. Thursday, we have a class event for Sunspear. Sunspear is pretty relevant. It does have Perpetual Redstorm, which is interesting, and the main reason why it's used is also a triple damage burning hero class. Also has Freeze and Tangle at start of battle. Overall, pretty good hero class that is generally outclassed by other hero classes. If you're using this, you're mostly using it for its red Perpetual Storm, more so than any other aspect, but it does have a few things that make it useful, so its utility is situational depending on what you need for your team. And this Friday, we have a invasion event, specifically an invasion event coming with a new weapon. It's actually the construct weapon I mentioned a little bit in the past. It's a green yellow weapon that explodes magic +1 brown gems, then grants a random status effect to all construct allies, then summons a construct troop. Overall, it doesn't get like anything good. I guess it gets like burning, but overall, it's pretty average as far as what its extra effects are. But this can help put together some mech teams. This would have been very useful back when, you know, we got to the mech-based kingdom, or sorry, the construct-based kingdom. When we end up getting Hellcrag the other month. However, this weapon is finally making its debut into the game, and even though Hellcrag's a little bit old news, it does help put together quite a bit of Hellcrag teams that otherwise would have needed a proper mana accumulator off a hero, so definitely worth considering trying to utilize it with some Hellcrag stuff if you to be able to kind of put some teams together if you want to mess with any of those troops if you haven't already. So overall, pretty okay weapon. Not going to be anything outstanding, but Construct's already a pretty strong typing because Construct hero class is pretty decent, so it'll help kind of put things together. Anyways, aside from that, let's go over now to the Soulforge. Main thing to mention before we even get into troops is Rope Dart. Get Rope Dart. If there is anything you do this week, it is get Rope Dart. I'm pretty sure it's already in the title. I'm pretty sure I've already mentioned it like 3 times this video, but yes, get Rope Dart. It is insanely good. It eliminates all armor from an enemy, and then deals a bunch of damage to them, and pulls them to the first position, and entangles them, and gains extra turn, and destroys a bunch of gems, and then cascades into a bunch of mana, and anything else, probably something. But it does a lot of things. It's really good for setting up just into anything, because since it auto extra turns and disables the enemy and brings them to first slot, you essentially just completely disable something, moved it to first, and then you can just either kill it, leave it there, and have it not able to do much, and then just do whatever else. And since it's auto extra turn, you know, you can combine it with pretty much anything you want. You can just combo it with any kind of heavy mana accumulator, throw it with another kind of looping troop. It's very insanely strong. I'd probably say it's one of the highest, if not the highest win rate weapons in the game. It's not always used though, because even though its win rate is probably absurdly high beyond anything, it is not always the quickest option for a lot of teams. So even though it is exceedingly strong and it really consistent at winning, it is not necessarily the quickest way to win in most situations, as it only really focuses on disabling and targeting out a single troop rather than killing quickly. It's more so about winning than specifically winning quickly, as far as this weapon is concerned. So it's a really good PvP-like weapon. So things like Guild Wars, if you're doing just standard PvP, stuff like that. It has good synergy with Ubistet from its own kingdom, where you do Rope Dart, Ubistet, and has a few other gimmicks like that. Overall, highly advise getting this weapon. It's easily one of the top 5 weapons in the entire game, maybe even higher than that. And do not leave this week without it. There's a few other things you can kind of pick up too if you want, basically bow, stuff like that, you know, standard mana accumulator ones. But definitely make sure you 100% get Rope Dart. Anyways, next up we have ourselves troops. As far as troops are concerned, I'd say there's only one that is really good to go for, and that is Archdiva. I'm actually a really big fan of Archdiva. I don't feel like it's used much, but in all fairness, it's probably not used on defend teams much, mostly on offense. However, it's a pretty fun troop to use. It becomes stronger as we get stronger options in the game. So it's a 20 mana cost troop that can give full mana to any troop in the game. This obviously might seem bad, given that, you know, 20 is a lot of mana. However, of course, there are a lot of mythics that have way more than 20 mana, as well as Doom troops. And it basically chooses an ally, gives them a bunch of stats for everything except for magic, unfortunately, and then fills all their mana, and this can only be cast once. So you basically give all the mana to any one troop you want, while also giving them every stat except for magic to a pretty high degree. This is very useful on things that can utilize both the full mana and all those stats. This is mostly things like Lord of Slaughter, and basically anything that can do skull damage creation while also being in first slot, kind of tanking out. So anything like that it can end up working out pretty well with. And as more and more options come into the game that are closer to like the 25 plus mana cost range, like, you know, 25 to 35 or so, anywhere's around there, definitely have a lot of potential, since you can just immediately get them for full mana, get them a bunch of stats, be good to go. One nice thing about it too, even though it's a one-time only cast, it does have a really good final trait, so it does still get to do something even after it has cast its ability, which can't be said about a lot of other one-time casts. A lot of other one-time casts that kind of sit there doing nothing. This one, not so much. It barriers and blesses every single time you get an extra turn, and it's very useful. Barrier to protect against a instance of damage, bless for a bunch of immunities, can help you keep you very protected, especially if you're already combining this into something that's going to get a lot of extra turns. So you're feeding something full mana, they then go get you a few extra turns, and then boom, you just barrier bless pretty much your entire team while giving them full mana, while giving them a bunch of stats. Pretty good option, not always used, but a great utility troop to have. It is worth considering, and as more and more stuff comes into the game, will increasingly become better due to the better synergies that it gets. So even if it doesn't have too much of a usage now, which it still does, it'll have more into the future. Aside from that, if you're looking for early game options, Dragon Soul, while it has fallen off in recent years, it is still an insane way for newer players to farm souls. You cast this thing 3 times, you're going to hit the max capacity of souls. It's still really good damage for early game. It's 11 damage by default, up to 20 if you're using a full team of dragons. That obviously falls off pretty quickly in the current state of the game of Gems of War. However, if you're just starting out, if this is like your first week or first month, probably still worthwhile to end up picking up a Dragon Soul. This is really good, solid mana accumulation, even to this day. It can help you just get some passive souls while still killing pretty quickly. Anyways, that's the full rundown on that. I believe only one other last thing to go over, and that is actually the campaign weapon. We'll be going over this more so tonight, as I don't currently actually have it. However, if you have the bigger pass, it is technically possible to have Onyx Blade. Onyx Blade is basically like Archproxy Yvandra. It ends up dealing a bunch of damage to an enemy and then converts 8 yellow gems into Uberdoom Skulls, whereas she does all yellow gems into Uberdoom Skulls. However, one interesting thing about this is it does have the affixes of Stun and Curse. So you get to Curse Stun the first slot of the opposing team. This could be pretty good because if they have any kind of score reduction trait, it's going to be gone. If they have dodge, if they have 50% reduction, if they have 75% reduction, if they have anything like that, as long as they don't have that one full immunity troop that also has immune to Curse, even if they have Impervious, it'll still bypass it because you're hitting them with both Curse and Stun. So this has a lot of potential. One other thing that can end up doing that Archproxy can't is you can go for a small damage poke and end up killing out the first slot and then have everything else target the next one, because it should go in an order where the damage kills the first unit, then the Curse Stun hits the second unit, and then all of your skulls also hit that second unit. So it could potentially set up into some really nice double kills. One other benefit of this is it's much lower mana cost than Archproxy, even though Archproxy does all yellows for 30, which, that's a little bit more impactful than this. However, in most situations, you're only converting like maybe 10 on average. So having 8 in that little bit of random factor, but at half the mana cost is a pretty good trade-off. It's 14 instead of 30, so it's a lot more usable. And it's also on hero, which by definition is just better than most any troop from a trait perspective, is because you can run 10 traits instead of 3. And while she does have the Uber Doom Storm, which is nice, you know, on hero you can have any number of traits that you want depending on what hero class you're running. So this definitely has a lot of potential to be very, very strong, and I'm curious to see what we can end up doing with this. And we'll end up messing with that later tonight, as we do every single night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we stream every night for Gems of War. Anyways, I will be dividing this video now into a different troop video. I did say I was going to do this earlier. We did actually used to do this back in the day, where I would split the troops into a specific different video. I'm mostly just doing this just kind of see initially everyone's feedback on it, and also just to make it a little bit easier to get this initial video out. Not having to set up the teams makes it substantially quicker to get out this initial video, because, you know, pretty much all we have to do is just talk about all the things, since there's not actually any kind of team building or anything else we have to do preemptively. But let me know what you guys think. We'll have the team video up very soon. Any kind of feedback would be greatly appreciated. Feel free to leave a like on the video, helps out a lot. That is also greatly appreciated. I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.